The other night I had cause to make one of these, a cup of tea, and it was nearly morning hours. And me being me, not wearing anything on my feet, fancied a cup of tea. It was about 1:30, I think it was. And as I walked downstairs, I don't switch any lights on if I get up in the night. As I was walking through the kitchen, I felt something slightly cool and almost with a moist feeling underfoot. I suspected that a slug had got into the kitchen, and that's what it was that had trod on, but it wasn't a slug. I opened the fridge door just to cast some light on the subject matter. Couldn't see anything at first, and then when I looked against the splashboards of the cupboards, I noted an odd shape, almost an oval shape, almost baked bean-like, to be honest, and in the dark light. That's all I could see, and I went to touch it. It moved. I thought, what on earth's that? And so a larger light was then put on so I could see what the subject was, what it was that had seemingly trod on. In here is the culprit. I'll show it you in a minute. This is Dysdera, Dysdera crocata, or often known as the Woodlouse Spider. This isn't the largest individual I've seen. I've seen them a lot bigger than this actually. But this is one of the few UK spiders which has the ability and fangs strong enough to pierce human skin. Thankfully it didn't pierce mine, and thankfully I didn't squash it. It must have just been under the arch of my foot, and somehow it survived completely unscathed. What Dysdera here was doing in my kitchen, I don't know. I do get wood lice from time to time, but obviously it got in somehow. I have seen it here before. Dillis and I used to have a coal bunker here, a wooden coal bunker, and every so often we'd clean it out. Lots of rubbish and wood accumulated at the bottom of it. At one time in 2011, we had Dysdera at the bottom of it. They can be quite alarming looking. They're completely harmless as long as you don't go provoking them and don't go picking them up. You're asking for a bit of trouble, but all in all, they won't bother you if you don't bother them. But we've found Dysdera at a number of places. Worksop Priory, we've had several records from Worksop Priory, often under stones on the floor or bits of wood or roof tiles, occasionally under loose mortar. But we've also recorded it from the grounds of Nottingham City Hospital, of all places, and other philanthropic sites. This is very much a species generally of gardens and brownfield sites, usually where there's lots of wood lice. This isn't the wood lice's friend, but it's a cracking spider. And if you were looking for a spider which looks menacing and dangerous, this is probably it, to be honest. The legs are beautifully red. Many of you will be saying, no, 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 no. But it gives a warning just by its colour. But it's a cracking thing, and the jaws on it are some of the largest I've seen for the size of the spider. How it survived under my foot, I don't know. Maybe an inch. If I put my foot an inch further forward or an inch further backwards, that would be squashed. Won't be the first time I've walked on a spider. I went to close the curtains one night in the front room, no lights on. Then again felt something strangely cool under my foot. Put the big light on, and there was a large tagging area, no longer of this world. I was nearly no longer of this world when I realised what I'd trod on, because then I went in the middle room and there was another one. But Dysdera in the house is a one-off occurrence. I'm sure that it's around in the garden. There's a lot of brickwork in the garden and lots of Borcelioscaba and Aniscus ocellus woodlice in them, and so Dysdera is certainly around here. But it's a cracking spider. I read somewhere the other day that it actually isn't native to the UK, but I've not been able to follow that up and confirm it. I suppose it looks like a spider that's not from here, but it's a fabulous thing. You'll often find this in the day. It spends its time in a webbed cell that it creates, and then during the night it's marching around looking for its favoured prey, which, as I mentioned, are woodlice. And the jaws are more than equipped to pierce any woodlouse. It's a ferocious hunter, and I know spiders aren't many people's thing, but this is a cracker. Even when it's under your foot in the early hours of the morning.